Stephen Parker stood in the loading docks of Helios 9 station, watching repair crews work on his freight ship. The thruster damage was worse than he thought. Another 2 days at least before he could leave. He wiped sweat from his forehead and checked his repair schedule again. A crowd gathered near the cargo bay entrance. Workers pointed and whispered, but nobody moved to help. Stephen frowned. Something was wrong. He walked toward the commotion, pushing through the small group of onlookers. A woman lay on the cold metal floor. Her skin was pale blue, marking her as Velian. 3 small children huddled around her, shaking her shoulders and crying. The oldest child, a girl who looked about 12, spoke desperately in broken English. "Mom, please wake up. Mom, we need you. Please open your eyes." 2 younger boys, twins by the look of them, sobbed quietly. Their clothes were torn and dirty. All 3 children looked painfully thin. Stephen knelt beside the woman. "Step back a little. Give her air." He checked her pulse. Weak but steady. Her breathing was shallow. She was dangerously underweight, her cheekbones sharp against her skin. "Is she dying?" one of the boys asked through his tears. "No. She fainted. Probably from exhaustion." Stephen looked at the girl. "What's your name?" "Cass." Her voice trembled. "These are my brothers Toma and Rin. Our mother is Lyra." "When did your mother last eat?" Cass looked down. "Yesterday morning. A small piece of bread. And you 3. The girl's silence told him everything. Finally she whispered, "The boys ate yesterday. I ate 2 days ago." Stephen felt anger rise in his chest. These children were starving. Right here on a functioning space station with thousands of residents. Station security arrived, their faces cold and annoyed. "Move along. No blocking commercial pathways." "This woman needs medical help," Stephen said firmly. "Take her to the charity clinic then. We don't handle vagrant issues." The officer looked at the children with disgust. Unanchored Velians. They're everywhere now. Always begging. Stephen stood up, blocking the officer's view of the family. "They're not begging. They need help. Not our department." The security officers walked away. Stephen turned back to the children. "What does unanchored mean?" Kess wrapped her arms around herself. "It means we have no family unit. Father died 6 months ago. Mining accident in the asteroids. Without him we're nothing to other Velians. No one helps us. No one wants us around." Lyra stirred on the ground. Her eyes opened slowly, confused and frightened. She saw her children first and reached for them immediately. "Kess? Toma? Rin? Are you safe?" "We're okay, Mom." Kess held her mother's hand. "This human helped us." Lyra's eyes found Stephen. Shame filled her face. "Thank you, stranger. I'm sorry for the trouble. I was working 2 shifts back to back. The recycling plant and then the cleaning service. I must have gotten dizzy." "You collapsed because you're starving," Stephen said gently. "When did you last have a real meal?" Lyra struggled to sit up. "I make sure my children eat. That's all that matters." "When did they last eat?" Lyra couldn't answer. Tears filled her eyes. Stephen made his decision quickly. "Come with me. All 4 of you. We can't afford. I'm paying." "Don't argue." Stephen helped Lyra to her feet. She was so light like she might blow away. The children followed nervously. He led them to the station's main dining hall. The smell of food made the twins gasp. Their eyes went wide. Stephen ordered 4 full meals, the kind with protein, vegetables, and bread. Real food, not ration bars. "Please, this is too much," Lyra protested weakly. "Sit. We'll talk after." The boys attacked their food the moment it arrived. They ate like animals, like they'd never seen a meal before. Kess ate more carefully, but Stephen saw her hands shaking. She kept watching her brothers and mother, making sure they had enough. Lyra tried to maintain dignity, but she was too hungry. She ate quickly, tears running down her face. Stephen sipped his coffee and waited. He didn't speak until they finished eating. The children looked better already, some color returning to their faces. "Tell me what happened," Stephen said quietly. Lyra wiped her eyes. "My husband Dren worked in the asteroid mines. Good pay, dangerous work. There was a collapse. He died with 17 other miners. The company gave us death benefits. Barely enough to cover his cremation. What about station support? We're not citizens. Just workers. The station provides nothing." Lyra's voice was hollow. "In Velian culture, family units are everything. A widow with children should be taken in by extended family. But we came here for work. We have no one. Other Velians won't help us. We're unanchored. Broken. Worthless." That's not true, Stephen said firmly. To them it is. Lyra looked at her children. I work 3 jobs. The recycling plant, cleaning service, and data entry at night. But rent takes most of my earnings. Food, clothes, medicine, there's never enough. Never. Where are you living? Kes answered before her mother could. Storage area C7. It's cold but empty at night. Stephen stared at her. You're sleeping in a storage unit? We're grateful to have any shelter, Lyra said quickly. Many unanchored families sleep in the ventilation tunnels. At least our space has walls. Stephen finished his coffee. His ship repairs could wait. Show me. They led him to the lower levels of the station. Storage area C7 was a maintenance space filled with broken equipment and old cargo containers. In one corner, thin blankets were stacked carefully. That was it. No beds. No heat. No privacy. This is where you sleep? Stephen's voice was tight. We leave before the morning inventory check, Kes explained. We come back after the evening check. I memorized the schedule. We've been here for 3 months. Toma and Rin were already curling up on the blankets, exhausted from their first full meal in days. Lyra sat beside them, stroking their hair. Before this, we had a small apartment, Lyra said softly. But I couldn't make rent. The landlord threw us out. Kept our deposit. Kept everything we owned except these blankets. Stephen paced the small space. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. These were children. A family. They deserved better than this. How long can you keep this up? He asked. Lyra's face crumpled. I don't know. Station Social Services found us last week. They said if we don't find proper housing soon, they'll take the children. Split them into different foster care systems. Different species adopt different ages. They'll separate them. No. Kes's voice was sharp with fear. We stay together. We have to. Stephen looked at the 4 of them. A broken family, abandoned by their culture, ignored by society. Starving and desperate. Something in his chest ached. He'd been alone for so long. His own family was gone, lost years ago. He knew what emptiness felt like. I have a proposal, Stephen heard himself say. It might sound crazy. But hear me out. 4 pairs of eyes turned to him, hope and fear mixed together on their faces. Stephen's proposal was simple. He would hire Lyra as his cargo assistant. Legal employment meant she could stay on the station without harassment from security. It also meant the children had a place to be during the day. The ship. I can't accept charity, Lyra said, her pride fighting against her desperation. It's not charity. I need help. My usual partner quit last month. You'll earn your pay. Stephen kept his voice matter of fact. The job is real. Loading cargo, inventory management, maintenance logs. Can you do that? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, I can do that. Good. Work starts tomorrow. Bring the children. They can stay in the crew quarters while we work. That night, Stephen couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about those 3 children curled up on thin blankets in a cold storage room. He told himself this was just business. Just a temporary arrangement until his repairs finished. Nothing more. The next morning, Lyra arrived early with her children. They stared at Stephen's ship with wide eyes. It wasn't fancy, just a mid-sized cargo hauler. But to them it looked like a palace. Come inside, Stephen said. Let me show you around. The ship had a small crew quarters with 4 bunks, a galley, a cockpit, and a cargo hold. Simple and functional. Stephen had lived alone here for 3 years. Toma and Rin ran their hands along the walls, amazed by everything. It's so warm, Toma whispered. Is this all yours? Rin asked. Yes, I live here. Travel between stations, hauling cargo for trade companies. Stephen opened a storage locker. These bunks fold down. You 3 can rest here while your mother and I work. Kes said nothing. She watched Stephen with suspicious eyes, staying close to her brothers. Stephen put Lyra to work immediately. She was smart and learned quickly. Her hands were steady as she logged inventory data and organized cargo manifests. Stephen realized she was overqualified for this work. She'd probably had a better job before her husband died. During breaks he brought food for everyone. Real meals from the station commissary. The twins ate enthusiastically, chattering between bites. They asked Stephen endless questions about his ship, about space travel, about Earth. Is it true humans come from a planet with huge oceans? Toma asked. Yes. Earth is mostly water. Have you been there? Rin's eyes were bright with curiosity. Long time ago. Before I started hauling cargo. Stephen didn't mention that he had no reason to go back. No family waiting. No home. Kes ate in silence. She never asked questions. Never smiled. She watched Stephen like she expected him to suddenly turn cruel. Days passed. The repair work continued. Stephen extended the job, finding extra tasks for Lyra. He taught the twins basic ship maintenance. How to check pressure seals. How to read diagnostic panels. They absorbed everything like sponges. "You're good teachers," Lyra said one evening. "The boys haven't been this happy in months. They're smart kids." Stephen handed her a payment chip. "This week's wages. Fair rate for the work." Lyra stared at the chip. It was more than she'd made in a month at her 3 jobs combined. "This is too much. It's standard rate. Don't argue." Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you. For everything. For giving us dignity. For treating us like people." Stephen felt uncomfortable with her gratitude. "You're doing good work. You've earned it." Kes spoke suddenly from across the room. "Why are you being so nice to us?" Everyone turned to look at her. The girl's face was hard, defensive. "Kes," Lyra said sharply. "No, Mom. I want to know. Nobody helps unanchored families. Nobody. Why is he different? What does he want from us?" Stephen met her eyes. "I'm not trying to trick you." "Then why? People don't just help. Not for nothing." Stephen sat down slowly. How could he explain? "When I was younger, I had a family. A wife. A daughter about your age. There was an accident. Station decompression. Section 7. They didn't make it out." The room went silent. "That was 8 years ago," Stephen continued quietly. "I've been alone since then. Flying cargo routes. Existing. Not living. When I saw you 4 in that storage room, I saw something I'd lost. A family. People who needed each other. I guess I wanted to help because nobody helped me when I needed it." Kessa's hard expression cracked slightly. "I'm sorry about your family. I'm sorry about your father." They looked at each other with new understanding. Both grieving. Both protecting what remained of their families. The twins broke the heavy silence. "Can you teach us how to pilot the ship?" Toma asked excitedly. "Someday. When you're older." "How much older?" "Much older." The days fell into a comfortable rhythm. Lyra worked alongside Stephen. The children explored every inch of the ship. They slept in the crew quarters now, warm and safe. Stephen heard them laughing again. Real laughter, not the nervous, frightened sounds from before. Kes slowly warmed to him. She asked careful questions about ship systems. About navigation. She was protective of her brothers but less hostile toward Stephen. One evening she even smiled when he made a joke. But Stephen knew this couldn't last. His repairs were almost complete. Soon he'd have to leave. Continue his route. These 4 couldn't come with him. Could they? The thought kept him awake at night. His ship was designed for 1 person, maybe 2. Not a family. He had contracts, deadlines, dangerous routes through contested space. It was no life for children. But what would happen to them when he left? Lyra's wages would run out. They'd be back on the street. Back in that storage room. Or worse, separated by social services. Stephen tried not to think about it. But every time he saw the twins playing in the cargo hold, every time Lyra smiled with relief, every time Kes let her guard down slightly, he felt the weight of the coming decision. 1 week before his scheduled departure, Stephen was running system checks in the cockpit. Toma and Rin climbed into the co-pilot seats, watching the displays with fascination. "Stephen?" Toma said softly. "Yes." "When you leave, where will we go?" Stephen's hands froze on the controls. "Back to your mother. She'll take care of you." "But where will we live?" Rin asked. Stephen had no answer. Toma looked at his brother, then back at Stephen. "Can we come with you?" "It's not that simple." "Why not?" Rin's voice was small. "You have room. We don't eat much. We can help with work. Your mother has her own life. Her own plans." "Mom is sad all the time," Toma said. "Except when we're here." "Here she smiles." "We like it here," Rin added. "We like you." Stephen felt his throat tighten. "I like you too. But, will you be our new papa?" Toma asked innocently. The question hit Stephen like a physical blow. He stared at the 2 boys, their faces hopeful and trusting. They'd lost their father. Lived on the streets. Starved. Suffered. And now they were asking him, a stranger, to be their family. "That's not something I can answer right now," Stephen managed to say. But as he looked at their faces, at the hope in their eyes, he realized he'd already made his choice. He just hadn't admitted it yet. Stephen spent that night searching through legal databases. cross-species guardianship, adoption laws, immigration protocols. The information was scattered across dozens of regulations and precedents. Most species kept to themselves. Mixed families were rare, but not impossible. You found cases. A Therian engineer who adopted a human orphan. A human woman who became guardian to 3 Cortani siblings. The laws existed. They were complicated, but they existed. Stephen read through requirements. Background checks. Financial stability. Living accommodations. Character references. Medical evaluations. It would take months, maybe a year. But it could be done. He sat back in his chair, staring at the screen. Was he really considering this? Taking on 3 children and their mother? Changing his entire life? The twins' question echoed in his mind. Will you be our new papa? Yes. The answer was yes. He'd known it the moment they asked. But this wasn't just his decision. Lyra needed to agree. And Kes, who still grieved her father, who still watched Stephen with cautious eyes. What would she say? The next morning, Stephen asked Lyra to stay after work. The children were playing in the cargo hold, their laughter echoing through the ship. I need to talk to you about something important, Stephen said. Lyra's face showed worry. Is something wrong? Am I not doing the work correctly? No. You're doing great. This is about something else. Stephen took a breath. My repairs finish in 5 days. I'll have to leave. Lyra nodded slowly, her face carefully neutral. Yes. We knew this was temporary. You've been very kind. More than kind. We'll never forget. I don't want it to be temporary. She stopped. What? I've been researching cross-species guardianship laws. It's possible. Complicated, but possible. Stephen's words came faster now. I could become legal guardian to your children. Or we could file for family unit status. You'd be protected. The children would be protected. We'd be a legal family. Lyra stared at him. You want to adopt my children? I want all of you. As a family. If you'll have me. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. Why would you do this? You barely know us. I know enough. I know you're a good mother. I know your children are smart and brave. I know you deserve better than sleeping in storage rooms and starving. Stephen met her eyes. And I know I've been alone too long. This past week, having you all here, hearing voices in the ship, hearing laughter, it reminded me what living feels like. This is too much to ask of you. You're not asking. I'm offering. Lyra covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. I've tried so hard to keep us together. To keep them fed. To keep them safe. But I'm failing. Every day I'm failing them more. You're not failing. You're surviving impossible circumstances. Social services came again yesterday, Lyra whispered. They gave me 2 weeks. Find housing or they take the children. They showed me papers. Documents separating them by age. Toma and Rin to one family. Kes to another. They said it's better this way. Easier to place them separately. Stephen felt rage burn through him. That's not happening. I can't stop them. I have no rights here. No status. But I do. I'm a registered trader. A citizen. If we're family, they can't touch any of you. Lyra looked up at him. You'd really do this? Take on a widow and 3 children? Change your whole life? Yes. We come with problems. Trauma. Kes still has nightmares about her father. The twins are behind in their education. I have medical debt I can't pay. I don't care. Stephen. I watched my family die 8 years ago. I couldn't save them. I couldn't do anything. Stephen's voice was rough. Maybe I can't fix the past. But I can help you. I can keep your family together. Please let me try. Lyra wiped her eyes. What about Kes? She won't accept this easily. Then we talked to her. Honestly. All of us together. They gathered the children that evening. Toma and Rin sat on one bunk. Kes sat beside her mother, her face already suspicious. We need to have a family discussion, Lyra began. About what? Kes asked. Stephen spoke directly to her. About me becoming your legal guardian. About all of us becoming a family. Kes shot to her feet. No. Kes, Lyra started. No. We have a father. We had a father. You can't replace him. Kes's voice shook with anger and grief. I'm not trying to replace him, Stephen said calmly. Yes, you are. That's exactly what you're doing. Tears streamed down Kes's face. Dad died 6 months ago. 6 months. And now Mom wants to pretend he never existed. That's not what this is, Lyra said softly. Then what is it? Lyra pulled Kes close. The girl resisted at first, then collapsed against her mother, sobbing. "Your father was a good man," Lyra said. "The best man I ever knew. I loved him. I still love him. I always will." "Then why?" Kessa's voice was muffled against her mother's shoulder. "Because he would want you protected. He would want you safe and fed and happy. That's what parents do. They protect their children." Lyra stroked her daughter's hair. "In our culture we have a saying. The greatest way to honor the dead is to protect the living. Your father would want this. You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because I knew him. He loved you three more than anything. If he could speak to us now, he'd tell me to do whatever it takes to keep you together. To keep you safe." Toma spoke quietly from the bunk. "I miss Dad." "Me too," Rin whispered. "We all do," Lyra said. "Every day. But missing him doesn't mean we stop living. It doesn't mean we refuse help when it's offered." Kess pulled away, wiping her face. She looked at Stephen with red, swollen eyes. "You really mean this? You want us?" "Yes. All of us. Even though we're difficult? Even though Kess is mean to you sometimes?" Toma asked. Stephen almost smiled. "Even though Kess is mean to me sometimes." "Why?" Kess demanded. "Why would you want this responsibility?" "Because I'm tired of being alone. Because you're good people who deserve better. Because I can help." Stephen paused. "And because when I look at you I see something worth protecting." Kess studied him for a long moment. "What if I never call you Dad? What if I always remember my real father?" "That's good. You should remember him. Honor him. I'm not trying to erase him. What if we mess up? What if we're too much trouble? Then we figure it out. Together. That's what families do." Kess looked at her mother. At her brothers. Then back at Stephen. Something in her expression shifted. The anger faded, leaving only exhaustion and desperate hope. "Do you really mean it?" she asked quietly. "If we say yes, you won't change your mind later? You won't get tired of us and leave?" "I promise." Lyra stood up. She took Kessa's hand, then reached for the twins. All four of them faced Stephen together. "We need to talk privately," Lyra said. "Just the four of us. Give us a few minutes?" Stephen nodded and left the crew quarters. He waited in the cockpit, his heart pounding. This was it. They'd either accept or refuse. Either way his life would change. 10 minutes later they emerged. Toma and Rin held their mother's hands. Kess walked beside them, her face serious but calm. "We talked," Lyra said. "We all agreed. If you truly mean this, if you want us as your family," her voice broke. "Then yes, we want that too." Stephen felt something break open in his chest. Relief, joy, fear. All mixed together. "We want to be a family," Toma said clearly. "If you really, really mean it," Rin added. Kess stepped forward. "I won't call you Dad. Not yet. Maybe never. But I'll try. I'll try to trust you. That's all I ask," Stephen said. They stood there, the five of them looking at each other. A broken family and a lonely man. About to become something new. The legal paperwork began the next day. Stephen hired a multi-species attorney named Wilson Grant who specialized in cross-species family law. The process was more complicated than Stephen expected. "You'll need background checks, financial records, psychological evaluations," Wilson explained. "The station council reviews every detail. Some species oppose cross-species families. They'll look for any reason to deny your petition." "How long?" Stephen asked. 3 to 6 months if everything goes smoothly. Maybe longer." Stephen filed the paperwork immediately. He listed himself as guardian applicant. Lyra as co-applicant. The children as dependents seeking protected status. It felt strange, reducing their lives to forms and documents. Word spread quickly through the station. Stephen noticed the stares when they walked together. Heard the whispers. Some were curious. Many were hostile. A Therian dockworker confronted Stephen at the loading bay. "You're that human trying to adopt Velian children?" "That's right. It's unnatural. Species should stay with their own kind." Stephen kept his voice level. "Those children need a family. I can provide one. You're disrupting cultural order. Velians have their own ways. Their own ways left them starving on the streets." The Therian walked away disgusted. But Stephen knew this was just the beginning. The council hearing would be worse. Meanwhile, Stephen worked on modifying his ship. The crew quarters needed expansion. He installed privacy dividers, creating separate sleeping areas. Added storage for clothes and personal items. Upgraded the galley to handle 4 people instead of 1. Lyra helped with the modifications. She was skilled with tools, her hands quick and precise. Where did you learn engineering? Stephen asked. My father was a ship mechanic. He taught me before he died. Lyra smiled sadly. I was supposed to follow his trade. Then I met Dren and everything changed. Stephen learned about Velian culture through long conversations. Their mourning customs. Their family structures. Their beliefs about honor and duty. He wanted to understand where his new family came from. Kes taught him basic Velian phrases. She was patient when he mispronounced words, correcting his accent. You sound terrible, she said, but she was almost smiling. The twins showed him Velian children's games. Simple but fun. Stephen played with them in the cargo hold during breaks, their laughter filling the ship. 2 weeks after filing the paperwork, Stephen departed Helios 9. His next cargo run was a simple route. Medical supplies to the mining colony at Karis 4. Safe territory. Easy money. The family settled into ship life. Lyra managed inventory and communications. Kes studied navigation. The twins learned basic engineering. They were a crew now. Team. On the 3rd day of travel, the proximity alarm screamed. Stephen jumped to the controls. 3 ships appeared on the scanners. Small, fast-armed. Raiders. Everyone to emergency positions, Stephen ordered. His voice was calm but firm. Now. They'd practiced this. Stephen insisted on emergency drills every day. The children complained at first, but now they moved without hesitation. Lyra strapped into the co-pilot seat. Kes secured the twins in the reinforced crew quarters. Then she returned to the cockpit, carrying the emergency supplies kit. The lead raider ship hailed them. A rough voice came through. Cargo vessel, cut your engines. Prepare to be boarded. Negative, Stephen responded. We're carrying medical supplies. Protected cargo under station treaty. Laughter. We don't care about treaties. You have a family aboard. We checked your registry. That makes you soft. You'll surrender. The channel cut off. The raider ships moved closer, weapons charging. They think we're easy targets, Stephen said quietly. Are we? Lyra asked. No. Stephen's hands moved over the controls. Remember what I taught you about shield distribution? Yes. Good. I need you managing shields while I handle evasion. Stephen glanced at Kes. You're on damage control. Any system failures, you fix them. Fast. Kes nodded, her face pale but determined. The first attack came seconds later. Energy blasts hammered their shields. The ship shuddered. Stephen threw them into a hard spin, dodging the next volley. His fingers danced across the controls, using every trick he knew. Human pilots were known for unpredictable flying. He'd used that. Shields at 70%, Lyra called out. She was calm, focused, rerouting power like Stephen taught her. Another blast. Then another. The raiders were trying to disable their engines. They want us alive, Stephen said. They'll sell us. Families fetch high prices in the black markets. Not happening, Lyra said firmly. Stephen triggered the ship's defensive systems. Nothing fancy, just standard countermeasures. Chaff and flares. Electromagnetic pulses. Enough to confuse sensors and targeting systems. The raiders split up, trying to surround them. Smart tactics. Kes, release cargo pod 7, Stephen ordered. But that's the medical supplies. Do it. Kes hit the release. The cargo pod ejected behind them. One raider ship had to swerve hard to avoid it, breaking formation. Stephen used the opening. He pushed the engines hard, breaking away from the other 2 raiders. But they were faster. They caught up quickly. More weapons fire. The ship rocked. Alarms blared. Hull breach, Section 3, Kes reported. Sealing it now. Shields at 40%, Lyra said. Stephen's mind raced. They couldn't outrun these ships. Couldn't outfight them. But humans were good at one thing. Persistence. Planning. Wearing down opponents. He led the raiders into an asteroid field. Dangerous flying. Most pilots avoided asteroids. Too risky. But Stephen had trained in asteroid navigation. Years of practice in rocky sectors. He wove between the massive rocks, using them as cover. The raiders followed, confident in their superior speed. Stephen triggered another defensive measure. Magnetic mines. Small, hard to detect. He planted them in the asteroid field on the way in, taking advantage of every second of delay. The first raider hit a mine. Their shields flared and failed. The ship spun out of control, crashing into an asteroid. One down, Stephen said. The other 2 raiders pulled back, more cautious now. They circled the asteroid field, looking for an opening. They're calling for backup, Lyra said, monitoring communications. 3 more ships incoming. 15 minutes. Stephen's jaw tightened. We can't fight 5 ships. Then we run, Kes said. Not fast enough. Lyra spoke quietly. I know combat tactics. Velian military service. I served 2 years before marrying Dren. Stephen looked at her in surprise. You never mentioned that. You never asked. Lyra's hands moved over the weapons console. I'm not as good as I used to be, but I remember the basics. If you can get us in range, I can target their engines. Their shields. We'll be focused forward. That's standard Raider doctrine. They expect you to run, not fight. We hit them from an unexpected angle, we might have a chance. Stephen made the decision instantly. Okay. We do this together. He brought the ship around, using the asteroids for cover. The Raiders expected them to flee deeper into the field. Instead, Stephen came at them from the side. Lyra fired the moment they had a clear shot. Her aim was perfect. The energy blast hit the second Raider's engine core. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash. The third Raider panicked. Tried to run. Stephen pursued, pushing the engines past safety limits. Lyra fired again. Another perfect hit. 2 minutes later it was over. 3 Raider ships destroyed. Stephen's ship damaged but functional. Silence filled the cockpit. Then Toma's voice came through the intercom from the crew quarters. Did we win? Stephen laughed, shaky with relief. Yes, we won. Kes ran diagnostics on the damage. Hull repairs needed. Shield generator stressed but operational. We can make it to Karis, 4. Lyra checked for additional threats. The backup ships are turning away. They saw what happened. They're not risking an attack. Word of the fight spread through the trading networks before they even reached Karis, 4. A family crew defeating Raiders. Unheard of. Impossible. But they'd done it. Together. Using each person's strengths. Stephen's flying. Lyra's combat knowledge. Kes's quick thinking. Even the twins, who stayed calm and followed protocols exactly. When they docked at Karis 4, other traders stared. Some with respect. Some with disbelief. A veteran hauler approached Stephen at the dock. Heard you took down 3 Raiders with a family crew. We did what we had to. Most people thought cross-species families were weak. Soft. The hauler smiled. Guess you proved them wrong. Stephen looked back at his ship. At Lyra and the children waiting by the cargo ramp. His family. We're stronger together, Stephen said simply. That's all that matters. The council hearing took place 3 months after the Raider attack. Stephen wore his best clothes. Lyra dressed the children carefully. They looked like a real family now. Healthy. Clean. Happy. The council chamber was large and cold. 7 council members sat behind a curved desk. Different species. Different perspectives. Stephen could see judgment in some of their eyes. Councillor Thex, a Cortani, spoke first. We have reviewed your application for cross-species guardianship. The circumstances are unusual. Yes, Councillor, Stephen said respectfully. You claim financial stability. Yet you operate a single cargo vessel. How will you support 4 dependents? Stephen presented his financial records. My shipping business is profitable. I've expanded my routes since hiring Lyra as business partner. We've increased revenue by 40%. I have savings and insurance. Medical coverage for all family members. Counselor Mira, a human woman, looked at the children. How do you feel about this arrangement? Toma spoke up bravely. Stephen takes care of us. He teaches us things. He makes Mom smile again. He keeps us safe, Rin added. Kes was quiet. The counselor addressed her directly. You're the oldest. You remember your father. How do you feel about Stephen becoming your legal guardian? Kes chose her words carefully. My father was a good man. I'll never forget him. But he's gone. Stephen is here. He fights for us. He protected us from raiders. He gave us a home when nobody else would. She paused. I think my father would approve. Counselor Vren, a Therian, shook his head. This is exactly what concerns us. Mixing species. Disrupting cultural traditions. The Velian community has expressed opposition. The Velian community abandoned us, Lyra said firmly. When my husband died, they declared us unanchored. Worthless. They watched my children starve and did nothing. Stephen gave us dignity when our own people gave us nothing. Cultural practices exist for reasons, Vren argued. Not when they harm children, Stephen said. With respect, counselor, this isn't about culture. It's about a family that wants to stay together. The hearing continued for 2 hours. questions about living arrangements, education plans, cultural preservation, medical care. Every detail examined. Finally, Counselor Mira called for a vote. All in favor of approving the guardianship petition? 4 hands rose. 4 votes in favor. Opposed? 3 hands. Vren and 2 others who believed species should remain separate. The petition is approved, Mira announced. Stephen Parker is granted legal guardianship of Kes, Toma, and Rin. Lyra is recognized as co-parent under multi-species family law. You are officially the Parker family. Stephen felt Lyra's hand grip his. The twins cheered. Kes smiled, really smiled for the first time in months. They were a family now. Legal and recognized. The next 6 months transformed everything. Stephen enrolled the children in station school. Kes excelled in mathematics and navigation. The twins struggled with reading at first but improved with tutoring. They made friends. Real friends who didn't care that their family was different. Lyra became a full business partner. She had a gift for negotiating contracts. Their shipping business grew. They hired 2 additional crew members for longer runs. The ship that once held one lonely man now bustled with activity and life. Stephen learned to cook Velian food. He wasn't very good at it, but the children ate everything he made without complaint. Lyra taught him traditional recipes, laughing when he added too much spice or forgot ingredients. They established routines. Family dinners every evening when possible. Story time before bed. Game nights. Normal family things that once seemed impossible. Kes started calling Stephen Papa 4 months after the adoption. It happened naturally without announcement. She was angry about a math problem, frustrated and tired. Papa, I don't understand this, she said, not even realizing what she'd called him. Stephen's throat tightened. Let me see. Later that night, Kes found him in the cockpit. I called you Papa today. I noticed. Is that okay? I still think about my dad. I still miss him. Stephen pulled her into a hug. That's good. You should miss him. You should remember him. Calling me Papa doesn't change that. You can love both of us. Really? Really? Your heart is big enough for both. Kes hugged him tighter. Thank you for not being angry. Some people said I was betraying Dad by accepting you. Those people are wrong. Your dad would want you happy and safe. That's what parents want. The trading networks fully accepted them now. The story of the family who fought off raiders became legend. Other traders respected the Parker family. Some even sought their advice on family crew operations. Station residents grew accustomed to seeing them together. The human man and his Velian family. Shopping for supplies. Attending school events. Living normal lives. 1 year after the adoption, they celebrated their first official family day. A human tradition Stephen wanted to share. He decorated the ship with lights and prepared a special dinner. The children gave him handmade gifts. Kes drew a picture of the whole family standing in front of the ship. The twins made him a certificate declaring him best Papa in the galaxy. Stephen gave each child something meaningful. For Kes, an advanced navigation manual she'd wanted. For the twins, matching tool sets so they could help with ship repairs. For Lyra he had something special. Partnership papers. Equal ownership of the ship and business. Stephen, this is too much, Lyra protested. You've earned it. We're partners in everything else. Should be partners in this too. That night, after dinner and celebrations, Stephen tucked the twins into bed. They were getting bigger now. Healthier. Their faces had filled out. Their eyes were bright and clear. Papa? Toma said sleepily. Yes. You saved us. When we were hungry and cold and scared. You saved us. Stephen sat on the edge of the bunk. Want to know a secret? Both boys nodded. You saved me too. Before I met you, I was alone. I flew through space with nobody to talk to. Nobody to care about. Nobody who cared about me. I was alive but not really living. He touched each boy's head gently. You and your mom and Kes, you gave me a reason to wake up every day. A reason to be better. So we saved each other. Really? Rin asked. Really? That's what families do. They save each other. I love you, Papa, Toma whispered. I love you, Papa, Rin echoed. I love you both. Sleep well. Stephen left them and found Lyra in the galley cleaning up from dinner. She looked tired but content. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For seeing us. For helping us. For becoming our family. Lyra's eyes shimmered with tears. A year ago we were sleeping in storage rooms. Starving. Hopeless. Now look at us. We have a home. A business. A future. Because of you. Because of all of us, Stephen corrected. I provided opportunity. You provided strength. The children provided purpose. We built this together. Kes appeared in the doorway. Are you two getting emotional again? Lyra laughed. Maybe a little. Can we watch the stars together? Kes asked. All of us. They gathered in the cockpit. Stephen piloted them away from the station, into open space where the stars blazed bright. The whole family sat together watching the universe spin around them. What do you think happens next? Toma asked. More adventures, Stephen said. More cargo runs. More places to see. More family dinners, Lyra added. More homework, Kes said, making the twins groan. More of everything, Stephen said. Together. That's the important part. Whatever comes next, we face it together. They sat in comfortable silence, 5 people who became a family against all odds. Different species, different backgrounds, but connected by something stronger than biology. Connected by choice, by love, by determination to protect each other. Stephen looked at his family and felt complete. The emptiness that haunted him for 8 years was gone. Replaced by noise and chaos and laughter. Replaced by children asking endless questions. Replaced by partnership and purpose. He'd thought he was saving them that day in the loading docks. But they saved him just as much. Gave him a reason to live instead of just exist. Outside the cockpit window, a shooting star streaked across the darkness. Make a wish, Lyra told the children. Toma and Rin closed their eyes tight, concentrating. Kes smiled and closed her eyes too. Stephen didn't make a wish. He didn't need to. Everything he wanted was already here. His family. His home. His future. The Parker family sat together under the stars, complete and whole and happy. A strange family by any standard. But perfect for them. And that was all that mattered.